Yo, YouTube, back with another video. Look at me. Look at me. Back again after 5 days. Hey, we're trying to be consistent out here. As you can see already from the title of the video, we're about to get right into it. We're talking about hair, and specifically black hair, Afro type 4CA hair. You feel me? Why do our parents, uncles, aunties, our elders, why do they look down upon guys, especially black guys, from growing out their hair? What's wrong with that? If you're a black male and as a black male myself, growing up, I did not have long hair. It was a straight bald fade. From the moment I was born, bald fade. Up until the end of primary school, until I was about 11 years old, that's when I had a little bit of leeway about what hairstyle I could go with, I'm trying to say. And you could tell from back in those days, when you walk into the barbershop, me and my brother, we used to go. I'll show you some pictures right now of how our hair used to look. We'd walk into the barbershop, our mom or our dad would just tell the barbers everything clean straight off. We had no say whatsoever, no say at all. It was like, damn. And sometimes you used to grow out your hair a little bit. Maybe you want a little fro. You might want to change it up, get a little cheeky style here and there. No, they just simply said clean. I want it clean. They equated a low bald fade to being well kempt, which can be true. You look, people with low bald fades or even a clean bald, look, you look clean, well kempt, all of that. But how can you say that, but in the same breath say that people with longer hair are the opposite of that? And I feel like that's not really fair. That's not really just. There's no evidence that supports that. Of course, there's outliers, people that represent a bad example for people that have longer hair. But the same can be said for people with bald fades. There's bad people on different sides, but to generalize it, I feel like it's uncalled for. And I feel like there's something rooted in it. There needs to be some sort of explanation as to why our aunties, our uncles, our elders, our parents look down upon men, especially men, black men, from growing out their hair. And don't get me started on, the homophobia aspect. I'll tell you guys about the worst thing someone has told me about my hair, and trust me, you'll be like, what? Maybe. I don't know. Let me just tell you, I'm going off on a tangent. I, visited a relative and they told me that the hairstyle that I had got, which was braids, I had the straight back cornrows. They told me that it's a girl's hairstyle. Can you imagine that? A girl's hairstyle. What's that supposed to mean? So you're telling me boys can't get straight back cornrows? I remember, growing up on TV, watching, people like Ludacris, Snoop Dogg, countless guys with braids. What's that guy? Okay, it might sound crazy, but R. Kelly, he was rocking the braids back in the days, early 2000s. Who else? There was an R&B singer, neo soul singer. He passed away recently. R.I.P. to him. That guy too. You feel me? He's I'll show you who he is. I just forgot his name. I don't know. I'm really bad with names and that sort of stuff, but he's in my head. But yeah, D'Angelo. Yes, that's it. D'Angelo. They were rocking braids. So what's to say that it's a girl's hairstyle? I feel like that was a crazy thing to say to me at the time. I just brushed it. You know what I'm saying? Guys, you have to learn how to ignore certain people's antics or what they say to you, to grind your gears. You have to be able to control your emotions. Don't let it get to you. Don't take things personally if you don't know them personally. But in this case, I do know this person. They're a relative of mine. They've watched me grow up and now they're telling me that the hairstyle I got is for girls, basically implying that I'm swinging that way.
This is all mind games.
Which is far from the truth. Those that people that know me, I'm a straight guy. I don't know where that, those homophobic remarks come from, derive from. But I want no parts. I want no parts, and I don't think they correlate whatsoever. I feel like anybody and have a short hair, have a longer hair, doesn't matter, what background you're from. I don't know like why in the black community especially it's crazy. Black African. Let me even specify even more, narrow it down because to those that can relate to this, oh my goodness. Hey, if you get a chance, if you're watching this video and you get a chance, go ask your parents, go ask your relatives, ask them why. Where does this come from? Where does this stigma come from? Where does it derive from? Because it's getting to a point now we're in 2026, going into 2027. We shouldn't be having these conversations. This should be a non-issue, and it is. It is. Let's keep it real. We shouldn't be talking about this. You feel me? If you want the long hair, rock the long hair. If you want the short hair, rock the short hair. Luckily enough, I've been on both sides, and it's beautiful around here. You can rock the clean. You can rock. Well, they're both clean looks. It's just a matter of preference. Okay, everyone has their own preference. I remember back when I was in primary school, there was a whole phase. I don't know if you guys know about it when guys were getting the mohawk. What do you know about the mohawk? That was like, yeah, when you had that mohawk, you was that guy. That was us as black men. That was our rebuttal to when those white kids were getting spikes on their hair, making it look all spiky with their hair. We was like, hold on, we gotta find an alternative so that we could look cool too. And we done that. And speaking of trends, trends come and go. Notice how I said there was a trend maybe the last 2-3 years of people growing their hair, getting the locks, maybe getting the braid styles. And now the trend is to cut the hair down. You know what I'm saying? Maybe get a little fro or maybe go down to a 1 or 2. And that's completely fine. Trends are, they bring communities together. You feel me? People choose to partake in them. People choose not to. I choose personally not to partake in certain trends because I'd rather, set the trends. People copy. I'd rather create the wave and then let others ride the wave. You feel me? Shout out to Max B. Shout out to, all the wavy people out there. All tight. But you see what I'm trying to say? Like, do your own thing, be your own person. You don't have to, conform to society's norms. Oh, everyone's getting their hair cut down to a 0. Or maybe I should, follow in line. Nah, you don't have to. You don't have to. I always say this, your hair is a form of expression. You feel me? Even the bald guys, let's shout out the bald guys that, they know how to do their thing. Shout out to Pops. You feel me? Old, the uncles, aunties out. Hey, if you're bold and you want to be bold, you can be bold. Shout out to Tupac. Let's name some people that are bold. There's countless. I can only think of Tupac on the top of my head. You know what I'm saying? But so many people in your life, in your communities that are bold, whether by choice or if they have alopecia, it makes no difference. People with locks, you know what I'm saying? Lil Wayne, obviously, his locks they don't look as well kept nowadays, but back in the days when he was younger, you feel me? But then there's also, influencers nowadays showcasing how their lock journey they've been showing the process on the do's and don'ts. And you know what I'm saying? Education is free. You know what I'm saying? YouTube is there, Google is free. I always hear from certain adults, certain elders, they say, oh, if your hair is long like this, it doesn't look well kept. It looks dirty. Oh, but when you have your hair cut down, it looks cleaner. I tend to disagree. There's so many countless people that have longer hair and decide to grow their hair out, and it looks well kept just as much as someone that has a low cut, very low cut. Both can be completely clean looks if you do it the right way, if you look after both of them the right way. This whole notion that is, they say they tend to compare the locks with the waves and say that, locks is more, low maintenance. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to do much. Of course, there's some advantages to having longer hair. You don't have to do certain things that shorter hair people do or people that want to do waves. But with waves, you got to think about it like this. They have to visit the barber shop a lot more often because they have to keep that, you know, fresh sort of look. And it gets to a point people have been complaining, let's just say, you know, about, you know, visiting the barber shop quite frequently and, you know, having complaints about their barber pushing their hair back. You know what I'm saying? There's pros and cons to everything. I feel like we should not, you know, single one community out to uplift another. I feel like that's just, it's just corny. I don't like it. I don't rate it whatsoever. We should be uplifting one another as a community. Don't, you know, clown on someone just because they have longer hair. In the same breath, don't clown someone that has shorter hair. That's because I remember back in school days, hey, don't think I ever forgot. I'll never forget these things, you know what I'm saying? But I bury things under the bridge, you know what I'm saying? I've grown and I've looked at it from a different perspective. But back in school, I used to get called bald, all these sort of names because I had a low cut. You feel me? And that could hurt a kid's spirit. Not to say that it did to me, but this is just to let you know that these things happen and you should be aware of it. And I just want to be that beacon that lets everyone know that it's okay to grow your hair out. It's okay to be different. It's okay to have your hair short, wherever you want it to be, because that's your self-expression. That's how you express yourself. But that's the video. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe for more videos, and we'll be out there. Peace.